Well, hello there.
Hello.
There are so many things going on, and I'm sure everybody is painfully aware of them.
Feeling a little irked, or at least like irked adjacent, and then these guys bringing their bad vibes? Bro, I'm straight up not having a good time.
But it's update time nonetheless. First and foremost, the pistol brace rule change has been challenged in multiple venues, and there's like 3 or 4 challenges in Texas. They're all going after the same thing. It's not really legally advisable to do that unless you're all going to join forces together in one lawsuit. You kind of want different lawsuits attacking different aspects of the pistol brace ban so you can get it struck down, you know. The same screen attack that they hit us with, you want to hit them with. I don't know still who's doing what and how effective everything's going to be, but here we are. There's no meaningful update and both cats are on the counter. Now, my primary concern, which I've said many times, because there's a lot of guys saying, oh, it's going to get struck down. It's definitely going to get struck down. That's not my concern. And of course it's going to get struck down in time. But you have a few factors that you have to worry about. First, as many people out there that don't like Trump, y'all are hanging on to that Supreme Court super hard. But the problem is, and we saw this with the most recent addition to the Supreme Court, Ketanji Brown Jackson, they can approve somebody before someone else retires. So if somebody gets smart, they'll pre-approve 3 or 4 justices before they roll out. I don't think that there's a lot of appetite for that, and I think if they try to do that, it'll stop. But that is a factor. If the Supreme Court gets jostled too much, and it changes the balance on the court right now. Secondly, if one of the lower courts has a stay that gets put in place, if that stay gets overturned, then it's back in effect. So what you could have is, outside of the 120 days, you can have a stay put in place, everybody relaxes, and then the stay gets overturned, and then based on when it gets overturned, you might be good and still have some time left, or it might be you're completely out of time and now you're in trouble because it's going to immediately go to enforcement, which is a problem. And we've all seen it happen with other things where a stay gets put in place and then it goes to the next level and the stay gets overturned. And then it has to go to the Supreme Court, and while they're waiting to go to the Supreme Court, it's still in effect. This has happened multiple times. So don't get comfy or complacent. The other thing is how long it's going to take the Supreme Court to actually hear it. A lot of people are speculating that the Supreme Court's going to take it on board immediately because there's enforcement action attached to this rule going into effect.
FBI, clear right.
I am not as confident in that. I don't think that it's good to just plan that the Supreme Court's going to come to your rescue. We have to have a plan in place to move forward without their aid. So that's how I'd recommend you plan. Whatever option you decide to pick, I'm not telling anybody what to do. You have multiple options. Whichever road you take, that's up to you. I do foresee a stay getting put in place. I don't agree that the stay will stay in place until it goes to the Supreme Court, or it'll just die at a district court. It'll probably get heard en banc or in another district court that's friendly to the liberals, and then it'll be a mess.
Oh my God. He's shit everywhere. There's shit everywhere!
Once a good case that's solid opens up that needs funding, I'll post the funding links in the description and let everybody know. Culture war loss. Huge culture war loss with Project Veritas losing James O'Keefe. Some people might think that the work's going to continue without the leadership. I'm not so confident. And it's retribution. The last story James O'Keefe did, the big one.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. How powerful exactly are the big pharmaceutical companies in this country? Consider the news that did not break today. The pro-transparency news organization, Project Veritas, just released an undercover video of a Pfizer executive bragging on camera about how his company conducts a kind of Frankenstein science, manipulating COVID viruses for profit, imperiling potentially the entire world, doing it in secret, possibly in violation of federal law, bragging about this. And you would think every reporter in this country would be itching to follow up on it, calling Pfizer, telling the public about it. But no, that's not happening. In the 24 hours since Project Veritas posted this footage, it has been viewed more than 12 million times on Twitter.
Behind the scenes, the panic and the counterattack was huge, which is what caused James O'Keefe to get removed. It's a massive loss. We've been stacking culture war victories this whole time, but unfortunately, this is a casualty of that culture war. So it's going to be a massive loss. I know in the past I've said if you're going to donate to this channel, instead I'd like you to donate to Judicial Watch or Project Veritas. I would see what happens with Project Veritas moving forward before sending them any additional funding. But I thought I'd bring that up because it is a significant loss and it's a huge setback. All right, external threats, both domestic and overseas. There are a lot of them. Things are happening and I need them to stop. First of all, transportation issues. It's not just the train collisions, it's FAA, and there's a lot of seagoing stuff happening as well. A lot of congestion, a lot of things not getting processed properly, a lot of people that were on the job previously that are no longer there, a lot of failures, and compounding and complex failures as well. A lot of you didn't hear about the FAA issues.
There have been 2 other close calls at U.S. airports just within the last month.
Delta 1943, cancel takeoff plans.
At New York's JFK Airport, a Delta plane nearly striking an American Airlines flight that was on the wrong runway, the pilot slamming on the brakes.
This could have been the worst aviation disaster in U.S. history.
And in Austin, Texas,
Southwest aboard. FedEx is on the go.
a FedEx cargo plane preparing to land, coming within only 100 feet of a Southwest flight full of passengers that was taking off on the same runway.
Air safety is built on our being intolerant of any mistake.
There's been a lot of near misses where if it wasn't squared away pilots saving the day, there would have been massive collisions and loss of life. And a lot of people didn't even know it was taking place. They knew something was off, but they didn't realize how close they were to death, which is very important. You can't let this stuff happen. And the people in charge, there's like no leadership right now and no one's taking accountability. It's all, well, we had a problem, but it's not my fault. They don't understand the position that they stepped into, and there's a lot of issues. I was impacted by this as well when I was out of town visiting my girl. The entire Southwest region, not the carrier Southwest, all planes in the Southwest region had, they called it a ground stop. There's particular terminology, if there's any aviators that knows what the term is, where everybody was stopped for 4.5 hours. They didn't stop international flights, but they stopped all flights in proximity to major hubs. I don't know what it was for, but they let the international flights go, obviously, because there's no ground stop for them over water. But it affected me. It delayed my flight 6.5 hours. And it was so bad that I landed, got to go home, shower, change, and eat, and shave, and then go to work. So I was up 31 hours. Woe is me. A lot of people had it worse than I did. But things are happening, and it's not something to ignore, and it's something to be cognizant of while you're traveling. Maybe don't take that vacation this year, or see what your other travel options are before getting on a plane, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now and it needs to get sorted before something catastrophic happens. The rail incidents, which are many, and yes, they do happen frequently. S2 Underground hit on this, that a tactic utilized by Antifa and eco-terrorists is to derail trains. It's pretty easy to derail a train, and I don't necessarily want everyone to know that. Railroad safety and security is something that they're not taking seriously right now. There's a lot of issues with that, and that's something that they need to take seriously. There's just so many things going on. And then, of course, the chemical spill that happened in Palestine, East Palestine, whatever it is, Palestine, I don't know. People from Ohio can correct me. But it's extremely concerning. And if you're in a situation like that, you have to self-rescue. The government's made it perfectly clear that they're just going to tell you it's fine. The rail company is going to hire a company that's going to tell you it's fine. And it's just going to gaslight you. You're going to be able to go outside, do what these people were doing the whole time, throw a rock in your creek or do whatever, and immediately find out that what they're telling you isn't true. So you need to have a plan in place. You need to have capability, maybe get some jerry cans full of gas, and get yourself out of there. Figure out the wind direction, all that nerdy me talk stuff that you don't want to do, and figure out a place to go. Have some cash on hand, have some things to take care of you and see you through. Having bottled water is essential. I don't drink out of the tap regardless. As some of you know, one of my vices is smart water. I love me some smart water, but have a bunch of bottled water on hand. It'll make sure that you're good to go in a situation where you're concerned about the potability of the water that you have. You'll be able to wash your hands, wash yourself. Baby wipes are huge. You know, just make sure that you have plenty of soap, disinfectant. And I know we just got done with the pandemic, and in some places they're trying to bring it back, but you know, having some sort of mask that you can wear that's actually going to filter the air may not be a bad idea. So you are the clumsiest cat. Although in his defense, he's not even a year old yet, I guess. All right, outside the country, you have threats of World War III. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but there's an increase in cyber attack traffic, and all of the scams are going into high gear. I've had more Indians call me, all sorts of stuff. That's kicking up. And there's just a lot of global chaos. And of course, the balloon situation that has dominated everybody's attention for the last, 4 weeks? It's important to understand there's a lot of things in flux. Not panicking, not seeing these things and freaking out, but making plans and figuring out your moves and what you would do in a situation is very important. I'm going to make a video about threat assessments here soon. Hopefully I can put that out and it'll be competent and give you the tools you need to hopefully make better decisions. But there's a lot of stuff going on, and the balloon thing is twofold. One, it was clearly surveillance and gathering information, intelligence, all sorts of stuff. That's obviously what they were doing. The second thing is to make the US scared. I have to be very careful with this, but it makes the United States look stupid when we don't react properly. There's arguments that say, well, if we react, we show them our hand. They know what we're gonna do. We have all these defenses in place. They know what's gonna happen. And then what happened after is what should have happened in the beginning. But I'm not in leadership, and I just need to shut up and do my job.
Don't worry about tomorrow, mama, because tonight...
Dynamite's gonna make everything all right.
Euphoria, shut the fuck up. I know that was you. I ain't even gotta look. I should send your ass back to Crenshaw Pete with his hot-ass coat hangers, bitch. Would you like that?
If you play into the panic of the CCP essentially rubbing their dick all over everything or trying to goad you into being scared or fearful or making bad decisions, if you play into that at all, you're giving them a psychological victory. So it's very important to not hand them that and to push forward, make smart choices, and if your first plan fails, have backup contingency plans that you can rely on should your first plan fall through. And whatever that is for you, whether that's going to a friend's house, getting out of an affected area, whatever, just have a backup plan. And I don't say any of this to worry anybody. I say this to get people in the right mindset, because a lot of things are going to change, a lot of things are going to be chaotic, and you need to be able to make decisions on the fly. So paying attention to what's going on, pulling your head out of your ass, and making sure that You're not the guy that's a negative Nancy where, oh, that'll never work. You have to find a way forward regardless, and you can't be in a negative headspace. Of course, it'll be super easy to be in one. The difference of people that triumph over the people that lose is they find a way. So hopefully y'all can extrapolate what I'm saying here. All right, channel business. First things first, G-Code is getting rid of the incog for some reason. This is the incog for my G17. I don't know why they're doing that. I don't know if their partnership with Haley's fallen through or whatever it is. I'm not starting a rumor, I don't know. So don't turn that into something that it's not, but they're discontinuing the incogs. No idea why, it's one of their best holsters. So maybe they have to pay Haley some money and they want to stop doing that. I don't know what it is, but if you want to get it now. They're good holsters. I've got a lot of them. I've reprioritized how I'm gonna finish projects, and I'm doing that to make sure that things get done and I don't have, well, this rifle just needs this, this, and this, and this rifle just needs this, this, and this. And it gets to the point where someone says, what rifles are actually complete? And I had way less that were set up than were not. And I was concerned about that. So this rifle here, completely set up now. Although the optic might switch to something else, I'm trying to standardize optics for my 14.5. So I want to be able to grab something and it's going to do the same thing in that footprint. I also need to get a Surefire Mini 2 for this, but it's got a light, which is an OKW, and the D-Ball D2. Ready to go. Just needs the Mini 2 and it's ready for its intended purpose. I gotta get the mount for the T6XI, which I do have, and put that on the URGI. I got rid of some things, like the Vortex Razor.
You what?
I also am pushing to finish Harambe, although Harambe took a little bit of a turn. You'll see that next video. But I'm going to be setting up everything how I need it to function for me to be effective and worry about everyone else's feelings after. Because when it comes down to it, I need to be able to run these things, they need to be set up for me, and I need to do things that I need to do, not what the internet or anybody else thinks I should do, which y'all should know by now I don't really care. And other people's opinions really haven't influenced me too much. The Vortex Razor Gen 3 was definitely the hype train, and a few other things I've purchased and let go was definitely hype train. I need to follow through on what I know works for me and keep pushing forward with that. So I'm going to be doing that with a lot of projects. My goal is to finish 2 rifles per year, and handguns are on hold right now until I get suppressors and nods and get my gear and loadouts set up, and then I'll worry about getting some more handguns. So probably no handguns till next year. I might get one, we'll see, but I don't know. I also got to shoot with some people, so there's a video coming up on that. Basic setups. I have a few people that have asked me questions repetitively enough that I'm gonna cover it, and ironically, I've done that, so I think that little group of 4chan guys that know I exist, or a few other places that talk about me behind the scenes, I swear y'all are sending people to try to sway me. When you see I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna run a pistol dot. And then I shoot with Vor 1998 and he has one of the questions that I was asked, but it wasn't him that asked it. And of course he has a 19X with a Trijicon RMR on it that I shot. So we'll see. Starting to think y'all are talking. But I have a lot of things coming up. I'm gonna try to just buckle down and get these projects knocked out. Stop stumbling through things. I'm kind of dealing with this fucking, it was probably from being awake 31 hours and then coming from where I came from, which was kind of high elevation back to sea level. But I don't want to say vertigo or motion sickness, but it feels like I'm on a boat sometimes. I'm taking Claritin. I very seldomly get sick or have anything happen to me, so this is weird. But I have this very brief feeling of being on a boat, And it's happened when I got off the ship and was on, you know, you're on the ship forever, then you hit a port call and you still feel like you're on the ship. I've had that happen before, but I've never had it happen from a plane ride. So I don't know if it's allergies, I guess. I don't really have those, but I have this weird thing going on. I'm trying to get over it. It doesn't knock me off balance or anything like that, and I don't feel lightheaded necessarily, but it's definitely weird. So I'm trying to monitor myself and see if anything's different. Like I'm constantly mispronouncing words or weird. I don't have any pain, so I don't know what it is. Maybe one of y'all can say something in the comments. One of my buddies said something similar happened, and he took a bunch of Claritin, so I'm taking a bunch of Claritin. Hopefully it clears up. But that's all for now. I gotta get to work. Hopefully y'all are doing well. Thanks for watching. Take care out there.